down to the alpha state and so on, so you can hear something on the inside of you, and that is your creative God, and it's going to do this, and it's going to heal you, and it's going to do all kinds of stuff, and so on and so on and so on. So that's what that's talking about. Use the power of your mind to create changes in your body. Joel Osteen's wrote on this, Joyce Myers has written on this, and countless other church gurus are trying to tell you that Christianity really is nothing more than a self-help technique. That is not true. That's not true. The Bible is not a self-help manual. It is a God-help manual. That's what it is. You can't do it on your own. You have to have God. But anyway, watch this. With each lower state, you become more fully aligned with the source of power within you, with your unconscious, or if you prefer, with that part of you that is greater than you. Let me stop right here. I'm explaining this one piece at a time so you get it, all right? The idea is, with each lower state, you become more fully aligned with the source of the power within you. Remember the entheogens. Remember the chemicals, the drugs that the medicine men and the witch doctors would either swallow or smoke, and that turned them inward to see the God that was inside of them. It mentions the source. The source is a Kabbalah term. The source is basically in the Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, which is what Paul dealt with back in the book of Galatians. It was witchcraft, and he knew it. The Kabbalah says that that man and the universe was created by the source. And the source is in you and wants you and the source to join together. Remember Neo in the Matrix, all right? He had to go to the source, which is the architect. So that's what that's talking about. And your subconscious is everything that's underneath the surface level, everything that's under the water, down in the deep, all right? So generally in beta state, your attention is focused outward. In alpha, it begins to turn inward. That's what marijuana does. And in theta and delta, it goes further and further inward. The deeper you go, the more effectively you are able to enter your subconscious. You can imagine that at the borderline between beta and alpha states, are you ready for this? Is a doorway to your subconscious mind. And the doorway consists of what is referred to in hypnosis as your critical faculty. Here we go. Now we have a doorway. We have a doorway between the conscious and the subconscious. We have a doorway that is shut by what the Bible calls sobriety. We're going to learn about that next week. What the Bible calls being sober-minded, and there's a door that keeps our mind right with God. But that doorway can get opened by drunkenness, by meditation, by using drugs or whatever. What's behind door number one? That's what you don't want to find out. But the powers that be want you to open that doorway between your conscious awareness and all the little goodies that's in on your subconscious. And the only way to do that, are you ready for this? The only way for this part of your brain, the creative, intuitive part, to control this part of your brain that has the strength in it, it is the one that's in charge. The only way to do that is to put this part asleep. Think of it like this. When drunkards get good and drunk, what do? They sleep. Paul mentioned that in 1 Thessalonians 5. They that sleep, sleep in the night. They that be drunken are drunken when? In the night. Drunkenness brings on sleep. What do they do before, and this is one of the legitimate uses of mind-altering drugs. What do they do to someone before they go into surgery? In essence, they get them drunk. You remember the old Westerns? All right? And the guy had the arrow sticking out of his back, and so his buddies were going to help him, so they bring out a bottle of whiskey, and they pour it down him real good and get him good and drunk. And then they pour it, around there so the alcohol can clean the wound and all that stuff. Then they pull the arrow out. And it's not as bad because he's drunk. When people go into surgery, what do? We make all these guys go to sleep. The whole brain goes to sleep, so now they can operate on you and you won't know anything about it. So this part here, the woman, the female, the weaker, has to put this guy here over to sleep. There is a picture of this inside of your King James Bible where there were some enemies waiting to be released. And the woman caused the man to be conquered by putting him to sleep. Judges chapter 16, verse 18. When Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath shewed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand, because she likes money. And she made him sleep upon her knees. And she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. Did you see that? Remember, the strength of Samson was the 7 locks. What are those 7 locks? The 7 spirits of God. The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. That's what those 7 locks represent, perfection and completion. That's where his power comes from here. But what did she do? She made him go to sleep. And while he was asleep, they cut off his locks and took his power away from him. So now the Philistines can conquer him and lord over him. I'm telling you, that is exactly what's going on in this world. The power of God in people's lives, and especially church people, is being shaved off because people in the mass, or mass quantities of people, are doing exactly things like this in the church. We're going to get into that probably next week. But the idea is that the creative part, the intuition part, the harlot part that takes money, made him go to sleep so they could take over. That's what cannabis does. That's what acid does, LSD. That's what all of these drugs have a tendency to do, is to put this to sleep. So this, I mean, you remember back in the 70s, people were tripping out everywhere. There would be some guy standing on top of a 50-story building saying, I can fly, I can fly. And he did for, 49 stories. But she took over, and he imagined that he could do things that the laws of physics and gravity and the whole universe says he cannot do. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to make this real simple. I'm going to put some pictures up on the screen, and I'm going to show you the difference between where the woman is in charge, the weaker part, Mystery Babylon, this side of your brain, the creative part, versus where the logical part is. Everything has an order to it. Everything is recognizable and so on. I'm going to illustrate that for you. All right? So I'm going to put a picture up on the screen, and I want you to take a look and ask yourself the question. I'm going to show you a field. Can you discern which field man seeded and sowed, which field the woman seeded and sowed? I'm going to show it to you. Here's what it looks like. Take a look at it. Can you tell which field the man sowed, the logical part of him sowed? Sure, the one with straight rows and lines, and it's in a square, and it's perfect. Everything has to be in order. That is this part of your brain. The farmer who plowed this had the ability to put a straight line in his brain and drive his tractor in a straight line, so it put it all in nice, neat rows, and so when it comes harvest time, they're all right there in a nice row. We don't have to go here and to go there and do this and do that. It's all right there. But then you take a field that man has not touched. I mean, take a look at it again. Oh, you've got this color here and this color here kind of mixed in with that color. You've got this kind of grass and that kind of grass, and you got trees. The trees aren't in a row. The grass isn't in a row. Nature created it all. Oh, let's put this here. Oh, let's put this here. Let's do this. Let's be colorful with it. Let's just kind of expand everything. That's the difference between what the logical does and what the creative does. Now, as far as God's world is concerned, I look at both these pictures, and they're beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful. One is beautiful in its order and structure. The other is beautiful in that it's not necessarily ordered and structured. But remember, beside the aesthetic value of looking out over a field, does the fact that the field is pretty put food in your belly? No. Because imagine if you had a garden and you were going to plant, I don't know, 6 or 7 different things out in that garden, and you mixed all the seeds together into a nice little seed salad. You went out there, you tilled the ground up, and you just took handfuls of seed and began to throw it everywhere. Covered it up with some hay, some dung, or whatever. And, in about 2.5, 3 months, you're out there, well, picking a tomato here. Oh, there's some okra right here. Look, there's some beans down here. Aside from it being pretty, it's impractical. And if we're going to get any benefit other than eye candy, it has to be logical. It has to be in a row. That's how it's done in farming. That's how it's done in baseball. That's how it was always done in the church. God said to the Apostle Paul, who wrote it down, and he said this in 1 Corinthians 14, let all things be done decently and in order. He said it in 1 Corinthians 14 because that's the tongues chapter. And he said, if any man, he gave a rule. He said, if any man speaking in a tongue, let it be by 2 or at the most 3, and that by course. First this one, then this one, and then this one. And then let one interpret. Did you see that? It's in order. That's God's way. If I ever, and maybe you probably know my stand on tongues. I think they were human languages, according to the Scriptures. But if I ever went into a Pentecostal church and I heard someone speak in a tongue, then another one stood and spoke in a tongue, and then a third one maybe, and then one stood up and interpret, I would say, you know what? I don't really agree with this, but they're following the Scriptures. That's what I believe. They're following the order of God. But that's not what you see in a lot of them, is it? You go into them, what do you hear? What do you see? Oh, praise God, it's pandemonium. We got people flying everywhere. There's all sorts of tongues being all talked at once. Hallelujah, this is of God. No, it's not. No, it's not. It does not follow the order that's in the Scriptures. The order and the Scriptures have been made to go to sleep. And now the feminine creative side is taking over, the feeling side. Ooh, I got a feeling coming on me. Woo! That's her. That's how you recognize her. She's always chaotic. She's always out of course. Always. So, you're going to go, somebody invited you to a church. Yeah, I'll go to your church. Where is it? What's it called? It's called Imagine Church. I mean, here's their graphic here. And see, they used the same illustration that I did. A field and plants everywhere, and oh, it's pretty. But this is the Imagine Church. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to go into alpha state because of the music is making us do that. And now we're in alpha. And now we're intuiting God's voice. Now we can hear it on the inside of us. That is exactly what's going on in a lot of these churches, people. Let me show you another example of the difference between order and chaos, or this part of the brain, the logical, versus this side. Let me show you another picture of it. This is art. One side, you see ships and the ship's mast and the flags and the buildings and the sea and the shore and people standing there and trees. I mean, you recognize it. And then here's another picture with ships and a building and the sky and the seas and people. It's my picture. I can make it whatever I want to. You see what I did? Now this picture here on the right, what does it look like? Just